course, the first thing we've got to do is take these screws out, and that's a standard slotted screwdriver. That's what I call that. Okay. And I've got a good feeling that all the power's off now to this whole box right here. Just remember what you're doing, be careful. And we're going to put it all back in the same way. See, all we're going to do is we're going to take this one switch, we're going to unscrew that, we're going to leave these two alone. Before we just pull this off and rip it off with our fingernails, it might be caulked around there. You've got to double check that first. If somebody has painted the house again, if they haven't taken these cover plates off, and that, my friend, is a no-no. Whenever you paint, you always want to pull those off so you can get the paint underneath there, and then let it dry 100% before you put the cover plates on. Lots of people don't do that. They might take the plates off and they repaint their house, and then before the paint is cured 100%, they screw the plates on there nice and tight, and then next time you want to pull this off, it's sticking, you try to pull it off, and maybe you break the cover plate off, you snap it or crack it, or you pull this off without being careful, and you may rip some of the sheetrock paper off and it goes out too far. You don't want to do stuff like that. You want to take time and make sure that you can pull this off. And this one here, it feels loose, okay? So that was good. If it wasn't loose and it was catching behind there, you take a sheetrock knife, and I always have one with a retractable blade. And then you could take that and gently score this underneath the plate, let's say, a little bit around as best you can, you know, until you can get it moved out a little bit, and then you can score it a little bit more. You don't want to score straight down. You want to kind of put it at a slight angle. Don't let this drag on your nice wall or something. And then you can gently remove it, okay? I'm gonna pull that off. And then there's going to be some more screws underneath there. Usually it's a Phillips screw, or it has a slot in it too. So you can take your slotted screwdriver, but I like to, it kind of slides off a little bit if you're not paying attention. I like to just take my Phillips. This is a Phillips. Okay. And I'm just going to unscrew this. I'm still going to be careful with this. I don't want to start pushing my hands in there thinking, okay, I have the breaker's off. Maybe there's a second breaker for this box, but generally, like I say, there's not. So, but you still want to kind of just be careful about it. Okay. Now I'm going to gently pull that out like this. And that's all I'm going to do right there. And what you're going to see is, I'm going to zoom this in a little bit. This one happens to have a red wire and a black wire. You see that? There's some white on there because it's from the sheetrock mud and stuff. You always want to kind of pay attention a little bit. And then there's another wire on the other side. And that wire on the other side is not a white wire. It's not the neutral wire. It's actually a ground wire. And let's get you over. And most switches nowadays has a screw, a ground screw. Do you see that? There's a green screw right there. Okay, and this copper wire is your ground. So that's attached to here. And then you've got your other two. Here's a black wire and a red wire. Okay. And I've seen lots of electricians, they'll take something apart like this in a second. They'll just pull it out like that. They won't even turn the power off. But I would not suggest that. You are an average Joe. I must remind you of that. You are an average Joe, and we don't work on hot circuits, okay? So here, I just pulled it out a little bit more like that. Just be mindful. We're going to undo this here. Once we get it all connected back, we're going to push this back in just like how it was before. Okay. So we can be like that. And if this is long enough, you could cut that off, really, if you wanted to, with some cutters. If you wondered what kind of cutters would you use, you'd use something like this. Okay. And I also have some wire strippers. You could cut them off with a pair of wire strippers right there, and then you could re-strip your wire. All right. We're gonna see whether or not we can get that. Now see, if you didn't want to do that, you look on there. Let me zoom this. Let me get this over here. See if you can see that. Okay, see that little square slot underneath the wire? Got the wire here, and then there's a square slot right there. Think, what is that for? Well, if you don't want to strip the wire, you can push a little screwdriver in there. You know, something like this. See how small that edge is? I'm not even sure if that can fit in there. I'm going to try it and see. Okay. I can push it in there. See these screws on the side? This has nothing to do with anything right now. Those side screws. Okay. Lots of times electricians will take this wire and they'll put a loop in it, and then they loop it around the screw here, clamp it down, tighten it, and then tighten the side screws. You can do that, but if you see something on the side, on the end, you can just push them straight in. I'm gonna look at this light switch here. Let's just see what it has. Let's just see here. And incidentally, there is a top and bottom to these, and I'm going to have to look at it real close. Usually there's written top on one side or the other. I know the light, I might have to go outside and take a look at that to figure out which one that is. But see, I'm looking at this. Here's your side screws, and here's a hole right there with the little slot underneath the hole. So I can push them straight in if I want. Here's the ground screw. On the other one, you saw the ground screw was on the bottom. All right. On that side, here's the screws. Chances are that's the top. I'm gonna go outside here and just see if I can see that. Okay. You go outside sometimes if your light isn't very good inside, and you'd be surprised what you can see. And right underneath that screw it says top. You might not be able to see that. See? Top. Okay, so I know that's the top, because I don't want to put it in upside down. I mean, the light switch would still work if I did. I don't like doing that. Even if those are three ways, this is not a three-way switch, and it's only a single pole. Single pole meaning it's only for one location. Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna see if I can get those out. Let's just see what I can do here. I'm gonna press in. So I have to press in there and pull this wire out at the same time. It's kind of tricky. Let's see what I can do. There. Yeah, pull it right out. See there? And this one is on the back side, so I'm gonna push that in right there and pull the red wire out just like that. And what does it matter? Does the red have to be at the bottom? Does the black have to be at the top? No, it doesn't matter either way. But I'm going to do it the same. The red was on the bottom just because the wires are kind of set up that way. And I can take this and just flip it around like that. The ground wire can be twisted. Don't be afraid to do that. Okay. I'm going to undo that screw. And this has a little loop in it. See there? See that loop there? That went around the screw. When you put something on like that, you always want the wire going around the same direction as when you're tightening up this screw. Righty-tighty, lefty-loosey, meaning if you turn to the right, it's going to tighten it. To loosen it, go to the left. That's all I got for this time, but I'll be back with more